You're listening to episode 168 of the Autism Mom Coach, the Meltdown Action Plan. Welcome to the Autism Mom Coach podcast. I am your host, Lisa Candera. I am a lawyer, a life coach, and most importantly, I am the full-time single mother of a teenager with autism. In this podcast, I am going to share with you the tools and strategies you need so you can fight like hell for your child without burning out. Let's get to it. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the podcast. I am so glad you are here, and I hope you are doing well. This week, I am so excited to share with you something I have been creating just for you for the last couple of months. This is a new free resource called the Meltdown Action Plan. Now, why I created this is because I talk about meltdowns all the time with my clients. And one of the biggest issues that I find when clients first come to me is that they say, I have no idea what to do during a meltdown. I either freeze or I overreact, and I totally get it because I was the same way. Every meltdown felt like a surprise. It felt like something that came out of nowhere. When you're believing that the thing that's happening in front of you should not be happening, it makes it a lot harder to respond effectively. And to be sure, I was not responding effectively. I was reacting and overreacting. And there's only so long you can stay in a cycle that's not working before you step back and say, there's got to be a better way. I cannot tell you how many times I heard myself yell at my son to calm down. Yelling at someone who is dysregulated to calm down didn't work for him, and it certainly didn't work for me. So what I realized after years of trying to prevent meltdowns, and then years of thinking that they shouldn't be happening anymore because my son was a certain age, is that I was making this a lot harder on myself than it needed to be. And the way I was making that harder was just by resisting the fact that meltdowns are part of autism. I think I used to see this as a way of giving up or throwing in the towel. To say that meltdowns are just part of autism was to allow them, to let them be, to think that it's okay for someone to be yelling or hitting or screaming. And that's not what I'm saying at all. The fact is, dysregulation is part of, one, being a human, but it's certainly part of being a person with autism. Our children, because of their autism, struggles in certain areas, specifically executive functioning, frustration tolerance, sensory sensitivities, impulsivity, communication issues. All of those things make our children more vulnerable to having meltdowns in the first place and make it more difficult for our children to regulate themselves once the meltdown has gone. So with that understanding and acceptance that meltdowns are part of autism, I shifted from the view that they should always be prevented from happening in the first place to learning how to prepare for them in a way where I could respond more effectively to potentially divert the meltdown like in the early stages, or at the very least not escalate the meltdown by my reaction and overreaction. I wanted something that was very structured, very clear, and very visual to keep bringing me back to what I wanted to be doing versus what I actually was doing. And so that is the origin of my MAP method. MAP stands for Meltdown Action Plan. And it has 3 parts because I believe that the best way to deal with dysregulation and meltdowns is to have a robust plan. So that is what I have for you this week, a new resource that you can download right now. It's called the Autism Moms Meltdown Action Plan. Phase 1 is the meltdown preparation. You're accepting that a meltdown could happen. Dysregulation is normal. You're normalizing meltdowns as something that is possible, not something to dread. You're in a much better, much more empowered position to make really good decisions ahead of time. And one of those things is to understand for yourself what your default reactions are when you sense that a meltdown is coming on so that you can learn how to regulate yourself ahead of time. The second phase of the map is the action, what to do during a meltdown. And that includes what to do and what not to do. Because what I know from my own experience, and I see it in my clients all the time, our instinct when we are triggered and when we see that our child is melting down is to jump in, is to fix it, and it is to do more and more. And in reality, all of those things that we do to try to fix it are actually some of the very things that pour the fuel on the fire. So we want to be very specific about the things that we are going to do and the things that we're not going to do while the meltdown is going on. And then the final phase of the Meltdown Action Plan is the post-meltdown recovery. And this is so important. I hear this from parents all the time where it's post-meltdown and their child is fine, living their best life, and the parents are shell-shocked. Which is why it's really important for you to take the time after the meltdown has happened to recover on your own. When you combine all of these phases, you will be more prepared for meltdowns because one, you're not resisting them in the first place because we're normalizing them as something that is part of the autism parenting experience, and you will know exactly what to do and what not to do. So instead of freezing, instead of telling yourself that this shouldn't be happening, you can take action based on the plan that you've created for yourself when you are feeling safe, calm, and regulated. All right, everyone, to get your free Meltdown Action Plan, go to the show notes and click on the link. In this free resource, I talk about what a meltdown is and what it isn't, why meltdowns feel so intense for you and your child. I give you the 3 phases of the Meltdown Action Plan. I give you real-life samples of Meltdown Action Plans from my clients, and I give you worksheets so you can create your own Meltdown Action Plan for yourself. All right, everyone, go to the show notes, download the Meltdown Action Plan. If you want my one-on-one support creating your own Meltdown Action Plan and learning the tools and skills that will transform your autism parenting experience from frozen and afraid to calm and confident, this is your opportunity to work with me. You can go to the show notes right now and schedule your consultation. All right, everyone, have a great week, and I will talk to you next. Thanks for listening to the Autism Mom Coach. If you are ready to apply the principles you are learning in these episodes to your life, it is time to schedule a consultation call with me. Podcasts are great, but the ahas are fleeting. Real change comes from application and implementation, and this is exactly what we do in my one-on-one coaching program. To schedule your consultation, go to my website, theautismmomcoach.com, work with me, and take the first step to taking better care of yourself so that you can show up as the parent you want to be for your child with autism.